I'm going to get my stated program for Baylor women's volleyball since the 2024 season did conclude sooner than it could have been. It was a round of 32 loss to Dayton, and I did warn y'all about Dayton. They were good enough to host if they didn't lose their conference tournament. I mean, I'm just telling the truth. And Baylor did not have any answers for Dayton offensively. And Dayton had every answer for Baylor's offense. Simply put. And so Baylor this year, 23-8 overall. But all those 8 losses have come when Baylor lost the first set. That has to be better. You cannot lose so much whenever you lose the first set. You got to win more. Obviously. And in terms of Big 12, like standings wise, they were tied for third, but head to head goes to Utah since Baylor lost to them. And this was the second loss 3-2 all year. So whenever Baylor's gone to a fifth set, they have won the majority of those, with the exception of the Wisconsin game early on. And even in that Wisconsin game, Baylor had match points on them. They just couldn't close the deal. They just couldn't. Yeah, tied for third. Technically, head-to-head goes to Utah. They're third or fourth. So it's still top 4 in the league. And what's crazy is Arizona State does have one conference loss. Guess who it is? Baylor. They just went on a winning streak like crazy. And I knew this conference was going to be wide open. And it was crazy, to say the least. So what are the kinds of losses that Baylor had? Majority of those, 3 sets of none. 5 in total. SMU, which that was an unranked loss at the time, but that ended up being really good. But unfortunately in the NCAAs, they just lost to 7th seed Missouri in the round of 32. I mean, come on. You did lose to Texas 3 sets to none as well. You did lose to BYU, Utah, and Kansas. And granted, some of those sets were close, but they just couldn't get one of those. So 2 3 sets to 2 losses, 5 3 sets to none, and only 1 3 sets to 1. And that was against TCU at TCU. Just imagine if Baylor would have won that match against Wisconsin during the season. It would have helped their resume more and avoided potentially Dayton. I hate to say a what if, but I'm just saying. They would have been like maybe one of the better 4 seeds out there, or even a 3 seed, potentially, given what they did in conference. And granted, we want that TCU match back. We do. And thank goodness we got exact revenge on them. We'll have to see about the conference slate for next year in terms of who do we play only once, whether it's home or away, and who do we play twice. That's the ultimate question. We don't know. And I feel for those seniors. I feel for them. There's no other way, more brutal way to lose than 3 sets to 2. And it was a really tight match. Look at the scorers. 25-22 Dayton, first set, 25-22 Baylor, second set, third set, 26-24 Baylor, and fourth set 25-21, and Dayton 15-12. But I knew going to this match, whoever won this match was going to lose at Nebraska. There's no way they're going to beat Nebraska at Nebraska. I'm just being completely honest. So I knew the ceiling was round of 32. Sweet 16. They were almost there, and I knew the floor was round of 32. I doubted a round of 64, but you never know with matchups. And maybe the Elite Eight could have been possible if they would have beat Wisconsin and got a higher seed and get a better matchup in the Sweet 16 match, assuming you got through the round of 32 match. I mean, that's just telling the truth. Now, how many seniors does Baylor lose? They only technically lose in terms of production the most. At least McGee, big loss, but there are players waiting in the wings. I mean, whether we're going to get somebody through the transfer portal or we're going to have somebody else step up. Because we're going to have to fill that void. Losing Jackie Barrett-Frazier, but I knew she was a one and done. She was a grad transfer. That hurt. But I do think we have a viable replacement. I'll get to that in a minute. But losing Lauren Brasinho hurts at libero. And she was really good at that spot. I mean, she led the team in digs this year. Granted, I know Manuel Bimbimbe played some, but she was dealing with something, it seemed like. So she didn't play as many sets as last year. I would have said she would have been a big loss if she played more, but she didn't. So you could potentially return, pending transfer portal and all this, your top two middle blockers just like last year. But Victoria Davis raised her level. And you could tell by the numbers how much she improved from last year to this year. So I'm not so worried about the middles. And granted, it's good to have Ali Check back for next year. And I know there were some other seniors as well, like Faith Lynch, but she was in there at times just as a serve type player. I mean, spot serving at times. I know. Jennifer Bolden didn't play as much. But she did sub some, like, to give some of the players a break. If they're definitely going to lose that set, or it was a blowout win. But you get the whole point. More leadership role than anything else. Same thing goes for, and I apologize for looking down because I cannot memorize all this stuff. Ava Grace Haggard, aka AG Haggard. She didn't hardly play. So, you know. Now, who should start at center next year? That's one of the bigger questions I have. I do think Harley Craig could be the answer there. I think so. She played it sometimes in place of Jackie Barrett-Frazier. Of course, in the few matches that they played that were like out of reach, that she did play more. I mean, she did play 60 sets this year, so that really helps. It's more like, do you really think they need to go for somebody more proven? I mean, that's the thing. I noticed Bree Denny still on the roster, but we'll have to wait and see about the transport portal stuff. But she hardly played in her career. And granted, there is another setter in Emily Steadon on the roster, but she only played 2 sets this year. So I don't know what they're going to really do about that position. Now, libero is an interesting question. Because Lauren Brasinho has been there for a long time at that spot. Starting. Who's going to fill that spot? Tahani Lafatu? Well, technically, she's a defensive specialist / libero. Technically, she could do that. It's more like, does coach want to do that? And I know there are like 2 defensive specialists / liberos coming in, and like for next year, and I got the recruiting class pulled up for 2025, and Grace Fugar and Morgan Madison. So I do think there are viable options there, but will they go with a transfer just to get somebody more proven at that spot. I don't know. And granted, all this is pending transfer portal. On the addition, I mean, whether we're going to lose somebody or not, who knows? Because we all thought. I should have not really assumed, but Avery Carlson left to Texas for NIL money practically, and went try to go to a better program in Texas in terms of wins and losses. And losing Alexis DeCosta to Auburn. And what's funny is Auburn didn't even make the NCAAs this year. I thought if she would have stayed, she could have filled that spot now. Nope. She's done. I mean, she's not. She's done at Baylor since last year. So, and we do have a middle blocker coming in, so I'm not worried about the middles at all for next year, unless they really want to get like a depth piece there. Just because you can't have too much depth. I mean, we technically only have like 3. I mean, and it's like this year we had like 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 3 or 4 probably is a good number. Maybe depth piece, if anything else, I don't know. Maybe they'll get somebody that's late in the process for a 25 class. I don't know. Who knows? No. Outside hitter, maybe they'll go with the transfer just to get somebody more proven. Because really the only proven player you've got coming back potentially is Kendall Murphy. I mean, and losing Elise McGee does hurt. There are going to have to be some other players step up. And I think she could be one of them. I think, and I know technically Alichuk needs to step up too, but she's an opposite. And Grace Carroll is right behind her. So maybe Grace Carroll could move from opposite to outside hitter just to help that outside hitter position. Maybe. That's not a bad idea to look at, but I don't know what coach wants to do. So really opposite, maybe they'll get like somebody as a transfer there just for a depth piece or something. I don't know. And I'm not really too worried about like beyond 2026. I'll say why right now. They have an amazing class of 2026 class right now. 4 solid players. But we have to bridge for 2025 to get to 2026. I mean, and this is going to be a wide open conference, to say the least. And I've done my research. Literally, the top 4 out of 6 teams in the Big 12 who made the NCAA tournament will lose some production. But in terms of where Baylor's at, of those top 4 out of 6 teams, Baylor loses to, like, not really the least, but not really the most. They only lose like 4 players that played 69 sets this year or more. But that's if you want to include Mbembe. That's if you want to. But it certainly could be worse. It could be Arizona State, who will lose 7 players that played 68 sets or more. Utah, 84 sets or more, with 6 of them. Kansas with really 5 of them, 95 sets or more. Granted, I know TCU only loses 2, but one of them is Melanie Parra. That's a big loss. And BYU only loses like 1 player, and she played 102 sets this year. So needless to say, this conference is going to be wide open again next year. I'm not going to put any expectations on for next year already. I'm not going to put anything on them right now. I need to see the roster first and see what the preseason poll thinks. I do think this year was a good year, but it could have been a little bit better. I just want to see a little bit more killer instinct for next year and find ways to win more matches that are Like when you lose the first set, try to. And you got to be better on the road a little bit too. And half your losses were at home, half of them were on the road. And we do not know the conference slate's going to be for next year. So we'll see on who we play twice and who just we play once. And Oklahoma State does not have volleyball, by the way. And at one time, it's either going to be a home match or an away match. So we're going to have to wait and see about this team for next year. But I will say, assuming Ali Check does come back, and same thing goes for the other senior that plays a potential senior in Alicia Andrew. Those two are really the most used players throughout the matches for next year, potentially. So that's pretty much it. I know they do have two other juniors, but they don't play hardly anything. So we're going to be better in terms of returning production wise. A little bit better next year, but this is pending transfer portal. Who knows about that? That's just the nature of the beast these days in college athletics. Because you can't assume anybody's going to stick around. I mean, who thought Avery Carlson was going to leave after last year when she was a starter? Same thing goes for Alexis Costa coming off of the bench, like first player. Who thought that was going to happen? Not me. We're going to have to wait and see what happens. I do believe that they will fill in the needs when they see available to, in terms of, oh, we could upgrade this roster to just be better than this past year and improve what you did wrong from this year into the off season. Stay hungry. I mean, that's all I gotta ask for. So anyways, if you like this content, hit the like and subscribe button. See you guys later on the road to 7 scores. Of course, ultimate goal is 1,000 more. So my money at those scores like a video. Comment video really helps YouTube algorithm so more people see it. Sharing the video does help as well, so more people could watch. And if you're watching and not subscribed, hit subscribe button, hit the notification bell as well.